We are live. Welcome to the Heroes Hot Seat Episode 1. I am your host, Brendan of the Heroes Dynasty Deserves, and I'd like to welcome to the program the very first guest of the show, one of the new expandees in the league, the owner and head coach of the Discount Belichick's franchise. Welcome to the program, Kevin Stengel. How you doing?
I am doing good, sir. I very much appreciate the invite here. I feel pretty honored to be the first guest on the show. We got a
Yeah,
lot to get to today, I'm sure, but I'm very, very privileged to be on the show here.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is definitely about to become the new number one best show in the Gotham City Batman's Dynasty League. So, I can't think of a more greater honor than to be the first guest on the best show in the league. So, welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it more myself.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started here. Obviously, you are the Discount Belichick's with the beautiful new logo, a nice addition to the league. Uh, but
Yep, yep, yep.
before we get started talking about your team name and logo, uh, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to the hot seat. It's gonna get a little toasty over there, so there's a little
Yeah, I might have
fire.
to take off this hoodie here soon if the questions start rolling in kind of hot.
Yeah.
I might
So,
lead the league in chest hair, so I might not want to do that actually.
yeah, the hot seat's hot tonight, and to kick it off, we're gonna get started with the hot start. This is going to be your opportunity to just you got a minute to say whatever you want to the league. If you've got some beef to get off your chest, now's the time. Floor is yours.
Yeah, sounds good. No, it's been a weird start to the season for all of us. I feel like a lot of different injuries. A lot of criticism on myself going into the season. Lack of my QB, the roster makeup of myself. I'm surprised quite a bit of guys in the league. I feel like after the first 5 weeks, I think after my peak, I was 2-3, which is very contradictory to what some people, including yourself, might have thought would be an 0-13 season. There are talks about somebody else in the season being 0-13, and happy it's not myself. My game plan kind of going into the season was just kind of gauge where I'm at, kind of gauge where the scoring takes us. We've got some really, really high scoring teams this season in this league, and I just kind of wanted to be able to be a middle of the pack team and get a couple wins out of there and just kind of assess my team, mid-season and, kind of go from maybe a potential rebuild from there too. So, after my 2-3 start, after my 0-3 start, got to 2-3, just decided, I'm going to kind of tear things down a little bit. I think I'm probably one of the first teams in the league this season to kind of tear down the walls a little bit and accept the rebuild and send away some of my top players. And, we've been seeing that a little bit more right now with with a handful of trades that happened today and here recently. So, I appreciate that, being invited to the show again. Looking forward to, utilizing this platform to express my opinion and kind of get back a little bit here of what my franchise has been portrayed so far. But I think it'll be a good hour or 45 minutes, whatever we decide to do here.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate your thoughts, and we're definitely going to be getting into some of those trades that happened on this crazy October 29th. I wished I had this calendar marked. I would have prepared more. I would have brought some
Yeah,
popcorn to work today. Sit back, relax in the
yeah,
chair, and watch these trades roll in. There
yeah.
are
No
some
kidding.
yeah, there were some fire trades in the league starting late last night or early this morning, if you want to call it that. For Shinwoo, it would have been like 1 a.m. on the East Coast, so late night trade for him, and they just kept on rolling through this evening. So we'll kind of get into
Mm,
those a little bit, but moving right along here in the show, we're going to get into the Fast Five. So for this section, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be asking Kevin 5 questions. I want 5 answers, and we're going to try and do this in 5 minutes. Just kind of a rapid fire question and answer session here. So to kick it off, nice easy one. Let's talk about your team name. Obviously, you like to sell insurance. That's where the discount Belichick came from. But
Yep, yep,
what
yep.
what about the Belichick's part? Are you a Patriots fan? What's up with that?
Yeah, looking back, the team name is kind of a regret. I feel like I'm kind of like Scott in that regard. I know I kind of get the vibe that Scott, dramatically regrets naming his team the way he did.
Hmm.
Um, I was the second expansion team to name their team, and if everybody remembers, I did ask to buy some time a little bit as well. Um, but yeah, the team name stems from it's a discount double check, but it's a discount Belichick's. I did, going into the season, I had some hype around, some of my players. I had the Patriots defense, who over the last few years have done pretty well, and I also had, the running back Sony Michelle, who I then traded off. But yeah, it was just a spin off of, a State Farm reference. So for those who don't know, I'm a State Farm agent during the day and fantasy legend at night. But yeah, no, it was just a simple spinoff in regards to that. I am a Patriots fan, more of a Brady fan, but no, it was kind of just a spinoff of those two collectively, which is honestly probably a team name I kind of regret a little bit. With probably a petition to maybe change here within the next decade or so.
Sounds
It's really
good.
tough to get some nerve built up when you have a triple chin on a Patriot logo.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe soon you'll be selling insurance with Patrick Mahomes or something like that. So you never know.
Yeah, I gotta get called to get on that commercial. I definitely would love to be on that one. My business would be booming.
Anyway, so that was a softball question of the Fast Five here. We're gonna get into a little bit of a hardball question here. Malcolm Brown, why is he still on your team, and why isn't T Higgins on it? Can you explain yourself? What was up with that trade decline very early in the season when you could have had T Higgins and you wanted to keep Malcolm Brown?
Yeah, after week one, I had two people in the league hit me up for trades. Scott was one of them. I really didn't know much about T. Higgins going into it. I really don't really know much about college athletes and the hype around them. So I kind of tend to do my preparation before the draft, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before, fantasy football wise. But I really had no idea who T. Higgins was, to be honest. Um, and then, after seeing week one, I think Malcolm Brown put up, 20 something points after the first week. I'll double check as I'm talking here. But, one of the trade offers I got was for Malcolm Brown and to get a second off of him. And I woke up with two text messages, asking for if he was available and what I could or what I give him up. Yeah, he put up 26 points after the first week. So I thought, yeah, this is a great guy. I'm going to hold on to him. You tend to think that if there was a guy somebody wants, the offer might go up over time, and I kind of wanted to have more of a pick instead of a player because I didn't really know much about T Higgins, but I was offered a second, and I absolutely do regret making that decision and not pulling the trigger, in hindsight, but. The Rams' offense is extremely finicky and different. So anything can happen, and so any Rams player, I might as well just get them off my roster if you have no idea how the coach is gonna handle them every week.
Yeah, don't worry. I feel your pain here, man. I feel the
Yeah.
pain with Cam Akers. So Sean McVay should just pick a guy and stick with it. So
Yeah,
Austin,
he's like more he's going like a roulette style, right? Do I go Akers this week? Do I go Malcolm Brown this week? I mean, what do I do here? So we have no idea.
right? All right. So getting into some of the breaking news over the past 24 hours, we had two very enormous trades this morning between, the Dynasty Champions, horrible name for a team, and the Mun Dynasty. Very large trade there for Scott picking up Dalvin Cook and Amari Cooper and Shinwu getting like a truckload of first round picks. And then we had Johnny following it up with Mr. B about a couple hours later, around mid morning. And Johnny acquired Metcalf and Carson for a couple picks and Joe Mixon and a couple other small sprinkles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's two enormous trades. You got to think that it benefits Definitely Scott in the short term for sure. And Johnny and Mr. B, you could make the case for short term. But both Scott and Johnny given up tons of first rounders in these deals. So I guess my question to you is, based on their rosters, do Scott and Johnny have a good enough roster now to be able to withstand not having first round picks, years down the road? What are your thoughts on the trades?
No, absolutely not. I don't really know what's going on with Scott's team. And we can probably get in this down the road here, but I mean, he was a great trade partner for me, and because I know, and maybe Shinwoo thinks this too, that Shinwoo can probably get a couple of his players back from Scott after the season, given the cap hell Scott's in right now. So, no, it's really, really weird, to wake up at 2 a.m. to drink my bottle of water, check the time, and then, see that, this big a trade has been released. I FaceTimed Shinwoo yesterday, and he said that he wasn't around to talk trade for a while until the next day. So I was really rattled to see this. I don't see Scott's team contending. You look at him. He's got two quality QBs. In Rodgers and Matt Ryan, but they're not really. I don't think they're fantasy league winning quarterbacks. I really do like the move of Dalvin Cook, but he has been extremely injury prone over the last few years. I really do think Shinwoo won this trade, getting 3 first rounds and Higgins out or from Shinwoo. I'm not really sure what the 4th round sweeteners were. I think that's just Scott, putting some sprinkles on the trade, but I really do like this move for Shinwoo, given where his team's at right now. Very likely to be 0-13 this season, and Scott's going to have to go into a rebuild mode here. Not only is he completely over the cap, but right now, but he's not going to be able to keep some of these players next year with the increase in cap, year by year on some of these players. So I really don't really see the move for him. I think he's just more focusing on this, his side bet here, which, kind of dilutes it a little bit in my opinion, but who am I to say, but I do like the trade for Shinwoo long term.
Good stuff.
Circling on Johnny and Mr. Leo's trade. That's a big one. I really don't know what to think of that one. I do. My first impressions are I think that Leo won that trade, getting a pair of first rounders and a 3rd rounder in there. I kind of view Mixon and Carson as kind of a wash because Mixon has shown really good potential, and with Burrow in that offense right now, I kind of view Mixon as getting an increasing role with that. He's extremely finicky week by week. It's not something I really want to have one running back, but with Seattle's offense, we know we're going to get out of Chris Carson. Last year, or maybe it was the year before, they signed Eastbrook to come in and play. Metcalf. There's just a lot of different mouths to be in that offense. So I really do think Johnny won this trade. Got a couple of first rounds to help, just kind of package his future here down the road a little bit too. So very, very weird trades. I really don't think that trade really helped Leo that much. I'm sorry, the one who gave Johnny.
Yeah. I agree with you for pretty much on everything for the most part. I think that trade benefits Scott in the immediate short term, but he's going to have a lot of problems if he doesn't win this year for sure. And Johnny backed up the Brinks truck to get DK Metcalf basically, and hopefully Metcalf pans out to be worth like 2 first round picks of value, because if not, it kind of hurts him long term because he doesn't have those first round picks anymore. So it'll be interesting for sure. I think Johnny's in a better position to win now than Scott is, but you gotta think that long term Shinwoo and the Beasts are gonna are going to benefit the most from these deals down the road. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with those draft picks, and hopefully it works out for them. And if it does, we could be looking back on these trades in like 3 years, wondering what Scott and Johnny were doing. So, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next question. So, talking about your roster here, just looking at it, your number one RB in Melvin Gordon is awaiting a court date for a DUI. Your number one wide receiver isn't even the number one wide receiver on his own team anymore, in Adam Thielen. And your QBs are all like below average or lost their job. At least one of them has like an enormous wrench in Nick Foles. But your team doesn't really your team doesn't really seem to be focused anymore, man. Like, is this a coaching problem? Like, what's going on?
Well, as you can see, we're in a mid-season retool. We have 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft. We have 2 second-round picks in the upcoming draft, and then the year after we have 2 first-rounders as well. No, I view the season as just a gauge, and sell off some assets and then just retool on the fly. 1 to 2 years of obtaining 4 to maybe 6 first-rounders to really get me back competitive again. So. In regards to my court date, we'll see. He's probably going to plead not guilty like they all do. I do own that entire backfield, so we'll see where that goes. But no, it's more we're in a retool stage, not in a rebuild stage. We have 2 wins, we're in a legit retool stage right now.
All right, I like the slight tweak of language there to call it a retooling. That's what I'm calling what my team is going to be doing here soon, probably. If I don't manage to beat Alex this week, I'll be in a retooling stage it myself, most likely. So,
yep. Yeah. We do have a chat here from Austin Dwyer. Yeah, that was not an intended pun of my retool with having Nick Foles on the roster. It tends to go hand in hand.
Yeah, when you've got that big of a wrench, though, like it's. You're definitely walking around with a tool, that's for sure.
Yep. Not many cities can handle that, and the big city is one of them that can. So yeah, it's going well for him.
All right. So little bit of a hot question coming in here for number 5. Can you tell me who your least favorite league owner is and why?
Oh, I don't have a least favorite. I'd say there are individuals in the league who I have their tendencies to get on my list that day and put me in a bad mood that day. Lately, it's been Scott. This morning at 2 a.m. was Shinwoo. Sometimes it's Johnny, but I'd say if I were to pick one. Overall, I'd probably say overall, it's probably Shinwoo.
Oh, all right. I'd
say just the lack of of me reaching out, trying to make a trade, to me waking up at 2 a.m., finding out that this guy's making a trade after we FaceTimed for a few minutes, and I was told to talk to him tomorrow. Wow. If I would have known that he's getting off assets for Skittles and for bags of footballs, I would have pursued that more and kept that FaceTime call going.
Yeah, no, I was a little upset when I saw that second trade Shinwoo rolled out today. There's a question on that in the guest pepper section, so we'll get into it later. But yeah, you know what? I like this rivalry that's brewing here between the Munn dynasty and the discount Belichick's. Not only are you having problems in trades and stuff like that, but you're also racing for the number 1 overall pick next year. So I like to see this little bottom of the standings rivalry going on. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's not common you have the 2 turds battling it out, but here we are in 2020. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to move on to a section I like to call guest pepper. Based on the Ghost Pepper, of course, where we've had some league members send in some questions throughout the day today, and we've got 5 loaded up here and a bonus 6th one that I myself came up with. So we've got a question here from both Scott and Johnny. They both sent in a very similar question. They want to know why you accepted a trade for Cooper Kupp for a first and a third round pick when you were offered a first and a second round pick from Scott. What defend yourself?
Yeah, that's a common question. I've been, Scott's been messaging me about. So Scott's offer for Cooper Kupp was a 2020 second first round and a 2020 third second round. Paul, he was offering a 2021 first and 2022 second. So really just both, I get a more of an immediate first rounder and I get a more immediate third rounder. I kind of just valued, the first round this year a little bit more this upcoming year versus the year after. And the second rounder, 2 years from now, doesn't really help me as much. I guess 3 years from now in 2023. And I knew that Scott had interest not only Cooper Kupp, but also my running back, David Johnson. So I was able to sweet talk him a little bit. Took him out to lunch, paid for his lunch, and I was able to sweet talk him and then getting into a trade for David Johnson. We're doing a restaurant he's never been to before, and I was able to work out instead of a first and a second, I got a first and a fourth for David Johnson, which I kind of gauged the market for both Cooper Kupp and David Johnson, and Cooper Kupp had more, he had more interest for him compared to David Johnson. And then also just looking at, knowing Scott's cap situation, there's a very, very strong chance that he's going to have to drop, maybe David Johnson this upcoming offseason, so he might be able to give it back. So there's a lot of analysis on this trade.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what? You got to spread the love around the league too. You don't want to just be trading everything over to Scott there and just boosting his team.
Yeah,
you got to spread the love around.
Make it a little bit more competitive.
Right, exactly. You don't just want to boost up Scott's team. You got to boost up the league while you're tanking. So
that's
sweet.
Right.
Sweet. So this is also from Scott. Scott wants to know how selecting Will Dissly as your fourth pick in the expansion draft has worked out for you.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it that much if it was last year. My draft strategy coming into it was kind of because I'm looking to talk about later on, and maybe that's a question from Scott. He's still asking me that question today. My draft strategy, but last year after the first 6 weeks, Dissly was the number one tight end. So my thought process was seeing that that guy's unreal offense. Russell Wilson's always a top 5 QB every single year. So my thought process was let's get this number one tight end right now who after the first 6 weeks had 4 touchdowns and well over 200 yards. So it hasn't worked out, but after what I've been reading today and this past week, it seems like they're kind of easing Will Dissly back into the offense. It's kind of a shame that they added on Greg Olsen. They have 3 quality tight ends with Alistair, Dissly, and Greg Olsen. But we got to remember this is a long-term play, and Dissly's contract is pretty cheap. So if he starts booming here soon, Scott will be eating his words.
For sure. Yeah. You know what? I picked up Will Dissly off of waivers last year. I'm the one who originally had him. And, he was great for me until he tore his Achilles. So
yeah,
he was pretty good.
Yeah, he ended up, a year the league winning probably snag, to be honest, given out what his volume was and how the dude could catch anything in sight. So I like to see, him get the usage here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, it's a bummer Greg Olsen came in too, because that's kind of limited. It's allowed them to ease him in, but, it's limited his opportunities this year. So.
Yeah, and giving Greg Olsen, that guy's injury prone too. So you really never know, what the week can happen. So
right, yeah.
I don't think Greg Olsen has played a full season in 10 years since the Bears days.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a question from an anonymous league member. This anonymous league member wants to know why you are the worst person to negotiate trades with in our league.
Is this anonymous person also asking questions regarding Cooper Kupp and Will Dissly?
He might be.
Yeah, he might be. Well, I tend to think that there's always a winner and a loser of the trade. Um, and the same person's that trade is the one that's going to be off of T. Higgins for Malcolm Brown. So, with me being a dynasty, or not a dynasty member, being an expansion team, I'm sure Chris would be on this as well. We don't want to get taken advantage of, so we gotta hold our position strong and be firm. So I gotta figure out what's working best for me in the future here, long term, to be competitive here for 2 years.
For sure, yeah. Maybe that league member should become a better negotiator in trades as well. Maybe they shouldn't just put it all
I
on
don't
you.
think that league member has won a trade yet in his entire dynasty career. So
Yeah.
I'll have to give him some tips. Is that what he's inquiring about? Is he trying to get some trade tips from me?
I don't know, Scott. If you're watching, you should text Kevin and let him know if you want some tips. So anyway, moving on to another question. We got a question from Johnny here. He wants to know what your plan is with your quarterbacks moving forward. How are you going to find some QBs to start on a weekly basis? Because you've lost Ryan Fitzpatrick to Tua. You've got Nick Foles, who I guess is the starter for a while in Chicago, at least until they maybe draft one. But and then you've got Kyle Allen, who's likely the short-term answer in Washington. So what's your plan moving forward?
Sure. Johnny just gave up his first round, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, the plan is just for the draft. He doesn't have a first rounder in 2021 or 2022. I lost Fitzmagic, which kind of sucked, big time. I gave up Robert Woods for him, but I did it. I was able to acquire Kyle Allen, who's creating his NFL career rejuvenation. I am probably gonna get the number 1 overall, number 2 overall, or number 3. So I like to probably think that either Lawrence is there or Justin Fields is there. So my plan is just probably to draft. Probably stack one of Scott's QBs because we're just revamp the roster. I'll probably snack Rodgers or Matt Ryan on there once he has to drop them.
Sounds good. Yeah, picking off of Scott's team has been a league pastime, especially for Ryan. So maybe other teams should copy that and they'll have success as well.
Yeah, but if I should have done that, Tim Wu was going to give up a QB for a second round pick. I would offer maybe a second and a third, but he didn't give me the time of the day, unfortunately. But that's something that I really in my expansion draft, going more QB based, just how much weight they put on this league.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Shinwu, here's a question that I have for you. Why in the world do you think Shinwu made the trade with Derek Carr and he basically only got a second-round pick in return? Can you explain the logic? Because I have no explanation for this trade, and it's making me madder by the second. I am furious at this trade that came through this evening.
Yeah, I feel like as you should be. I wasn't even aware of it until not too long ago here. And whoever asked the question, had it right. Was just a typo. I really don't know. I mean, Garoppolo is not a fantasy winning league QB. And it's under QB. I think he only has one more, right? Which is Tua. I would imagine if Tua struggles, he's probably going to go back to Fitz in a second. So I really just think he's just committed to trying to get that first overall pick. But I think AB definitely won that trade. It was I really don't know what the thought process was behind it. He really could have played the market a little bit more with Derek Carr and got some more assets.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, if he would have offered that to me, I would have given up my first round pick in that swap, and so he would have ended up with like the first overall pick or the second overall pick, and he would have gotten mine, which will be somewhere in the range of probably like 2 to 5. So, I mean, he would have gotten a much better pick than Ryan's, I think maybe it was Alex's, but like Alex's is going to be later than mine, and he basically only got a second round pick in return for Derek Carr, and it's making me very, very angry the more I think about it. So we're just going to move on to the last question of the guest pepper section here. So this question is from Austin. He says, despite having the lowest scoring team in the league through 7 weeks, you are the only team who has yet to use any of their waiver acquisition budget on the free agent, waiver wire. Some GMs in this league have began to question your commitment level and are wondering if you're even trying. Did you come into the season with a plan, or are you just trying to #lose for Lawrence?
I would never lose for a Jets QB. It seems like that's what Shinwu's doing. I do actually have 2 active waiver acquisitions going pending right now, and I've had a few over the past few weeks here. Thankfully, I was trying to acquire, I think, Jeff Driscoll. I was trying to pay a decent coin for that guy, but thankfully somebody else really just outbidded me, because that would have been the worst way to just use that budget. No, yeah, there are a few moves I'm pending to make right now, and hopefully I can acquire them. But those are, you'd probably use your budget a little bit more sooner or later. But no, I just haven't found a move that I like that really helps contribute to my lineup. Really.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so that concludes the guest pepper section. We're going to move into a section I like to call the heat check. This is where we're going to debate a topic of my choosing, and I'm gonna challenge you because I saw you in the expansion draft, Kevin. I saw you making moves, and I didn't see a strategy that made any sense to me. So I'm going to need you to explain your expansion draft strategy and tell me what it was, because I got to believe that it wasn't optimal.
Sure. And before I touch on that, I think some people in the chat would also agree with me. You want to lose for Lawrence. Why lose for Lawrence when you get free call for Fields? Yeah, my draft really just let's take this player that's available while being mindful of the cap. I've never played in a single flex before, so I really had no idea going into it how valuable these were, and I kind of had an idea that it was going to be a free agent list that would have been available for me. For those that I know, there's really any at all. So I really just kind of, when I was up for every selection, I really just went off, in my opinion, the best player available in that position at that very moment, based around the cap. I looking at my team versus CB. Happy that I did select Keenan Allen and the end drop in. I really just kind of underestimated the cap, and I thought I had a lot more attention to it, which I probably didn't have to. A few of my picks really kind of got snapped for me. I actually was going to draft Tannehill, but wasn't planning on doing it that early on where CB grabbed it. I wanted to snag also Fitzpatrick. That was my next snag. You grabbed me literally the round before, but my plan was to get the best player available in that position at that very moment, and then kind of try to trade for assets down the road, and kind of modify and adjust my team on the fly.
Sure. Yeah. So
if I had to do it over again, I definitely would have had a different approach. I would go more, I'm sure Chris would agree as well. We'd probably go a little bit more, QB based.
Yeah. No. I'll cut you some slack. It is somewhat difficult to know. It took. I would say it took the league at least 2 to 3 years to figure it out. That QBs were the most valuable. There were guys like Ryan who kind of had it figured out early on. He might have had a slight advantage because he started the league. And also, when the league came to existence, there was a 2-quarterback league. There was no super flex. It was just 2 normal flex and 2 QB slots. So we made the change to super flex when we expanded to account for the fact that there wouldn't be basically you couldn't have 24 QB starting and then have another 12 lined up because that there's just not that's 36, and there's only 32 NFL teams. So basically, a couple teams would be getting screwed. So that's why we ended up having to do that. But yeah, it definitely makes sense that you might want to go back and draft some quarterbacks more early on. But sort of looking
I think it's going to be a good offseason for me upcoming here, especially having, 4 picks as of right now, the first 24 picks. I'll have 2 first and I'll have 2 seconds. So I really, if I could grab 2 quality players who, play a big role, and that's a year changer for me. They can give me 2 or 3 more wins.
Sure. Yeah. But, you said in your expansion draft strategy that your goal was to draft best available player while keeping the cap in mind, right? So if I just go and look at what the expansion draft was going on here, if we look at the while it loads here, if we look at your picks, give it 1 second. It's booting up. But if we look at your picks here, you had Jared Goff on the table, so maybe I understand Cooper Kupp, but then your next pick after that, you have Will Dissly in there. I have a hard time believing that Will Dissly was best available at the time, especially on Scott's team where he had like Gardner Minshew out there or Julian Edelman. So, I mean, just what was your definition of best player available? Like, what were you looking for?
Yeah, so if you look at Dissly, right, at that point, Minshew was already taken. I didn't really I don't know. I don't remember if this was after Brady had left, but I just didn't have the desire for Edelman. Just given that I feel like fantasy football now, there's just so many, quality wide receivers right now that could really just play a difference. So I didn't really want to reach for something that high. But I mean, again, Dissly, at that moment, I knew how good a year he had the previous year up until his Achilles injury, and only being, 5 cap, I kind of just reached for him there. But yeah, that's definitely a pick at my 7th pick. I really don't. I would have done it if I had to do things over again.
Sure. So, looking back at the expansion draft, then, if you could do it over again, what would be your new strategy? What would be, what kind of player would you be looking to pick number one overall with your expansion pick?
Yeah, I probably would still go Cooper Kupp. I mean, just given where he finished last year, I think he was a top 5 wide receiver. So at that moment, I think the year before that, he tore UCL or the Achilles or something. He had a season-ending injury, but he rebounded extremely well the previous year. So knowing what I knew at that very moment, just how good he was at that very moment. I know Ryan, he said that he agreed that he valued Cooper Kupp, Goff as well. I've had Goff. I actually had Goff in 3 of my leagues last year, and it was garbage. Goff had a really, really bad year in fantasy the previous year, so I really didn't value him that high. But I mean, looking back at it here, I'd probably go Cooper Kupp 1, and then I probably wouldn't snag Melvin Gordon. At this point right now, at my 2nd pick, I would probably either go either QB or I would go running back as well. But really, where I just it'd be a different dialogue here if I snag some different QBs. Instead of snagging Dissly, maybe I grab Derek Carr, or maybe instead of snagging Ingram, I grab Tannehill, or down the road I snagged Fitzpatrick instead of Westbrook. It's just certain tweaks here and there. That's where I could be a competitive team right now. But it's just it is what it is.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I guess if we all had a time machine, we'd go back and make some different moves. I, for example, probably wouldn't have ended up trading Thielen to Mr. B, for example, when I did. And I definitely wouldn't have traded Devontae Adams when I did. So I guess hindsight's always 20/20. But, yeah, I guess looking back on it, QBs would have been a better play than some of the other picks you made. But you have the draft picks now to try and dig yourself out of the hole. So hopefully it works out.
Oh, it will. I'm not feeling good about it. Yeah. I got my strategy was just to grab a few pieces. I've already flipped some good pieces. With my guys. Cooper Kupp at a first and a third. Let me see. Sony Michelle, I got a 21 second from Scott, so that's a steal right there. And and some more stuff here too. So no, I feel good about my upcoming years here.
Yeah, you do. You have built quite a stockpile of picks. Maybe not as many picks as Shinwoo has at this point now after these couple of trades, but I would say you're definitely in one of the better positions as far as the rookie draft is concerned coming up. So as long as you draft,
at the end of the day, too, I mean, we're playing to win here. I don't think my team, coming out of the expansion, was a perfect draft, and I had some good luck. I don't view myself as competing with the top four of Brian, Johnny, Leo, and probably Paul. I just don't see myself having a team that is extremely competitive to go against a team that has Lamar Jackson, Devontae Adams. We're going against Deshaun Watson, McCaffrey, Michael Thomas, DJ Moore. I can't do something like that. So.
Sure.
If you can't win, then try to find the next window, which might be 3 to 4 weeks out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, you got to make that investment up front. Make sure you're building that stockpile of draft picks, similar to what the Golden Knights sort of did in the NHL expansion draft. I mean, they were good right away, but they also built quite the stockpile of picks in the process. So you're going with that strategy, and I can respect that. So. Looking forward to seeing who you pick, and hopefully you find some good ones in there. So,
yeah,
sweet,
absolutely.
That'll conclude the heat check, and that'll also conclude the first episode of the Heroes Hot Seat. So, Kevin, thanks for coming on the show. This was awesome. I'm looking forward to continuing this show down in the future. Hopefully, you win the race. To the bottom of the standings. It'll be tough after Shinwoo's made all of his trades today. He's got a problem with winning games now without Derek Carr and Dalvin Cook and Amari Cooper on his roster. So you got some competition down there, but best of luck in your tank. And thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I might have to start a podcast myself tomorrow, and then the name of the show is going to be called "What Are You Thinking?" I'm going to have him as the first guest here, but we'll see where things sort out. Who do you think is the leading category or the leading team right now for the first place championship?
Yeah, that's a good question. After the trades today. If Metcalf pans out for Johnny and Carson is solid, he's not hurt long term, I gotta think that Johnny with the Metcalf additions maybe still the favorite to win this year. Ryan is probably up there. The Beasts are probably up there, but I think my personal favorite is still Johnny, but. It's gonna be interesting with Scott making these trades for Cook. He's basically got to win this year, and if he's got hopefully he's got the firepower to get there. If not, his team could be in some trouble in the future. So I hope for his sake that he wins the championship and can finally say his name makes sense. But I'm not convinced. Getting through Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes is going to be awfully difficult.
Yeah, I think Scott got a little rattled last night when his dad threw him some shade. Clearly Scott was not happy being called the 8th seed, and then really, he must have just hit up Shinwoo until Shinwoo just finally said yes. All right, take this. But I do like Shinwoo's trade with him there. But yeah, I agree. I think Johnny or Ryan is the top two. We'll see where it plays out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on, Kevin. Enjoy your beverage there. And
it's an old fashioned.
All right.
That was a double. They topped it off pretty nicely.
That's a lovely gift from the hotel. I'm sure you paid for it, so it wasn't a gift. But
Oh yeah, it was expensive, but it is what it is.
yeah, all right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. And this has been the first episode of the Heroes Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Tune in next week. We've got another special guest planned for the show. I'm looking forward to talking to him. So the guest will be revealed next Wednesday on Deep Diving with the DCs, and I think that's going to be a theme going forward, where we'll have the DCs reveal the next guest on the Heroes Hot Seat on Wednesday night. So tune in next Thursday for episode 2 of the Heroes Hot Seat, and thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.